We all got sold on the idea that every free hour we have should turn into a side hustle, no questions asked. And that's supposed to be the path to financial freedom. But here's the actual lie. We've been taught that every hour you work is an hour of progress, but it's not. A lot of what passes for hustle is just motion, and motion feels like progress right up until you run the actual numbers. Now I want to be clear about something. I'm not saying side hustles or second jobs are bad. Done right, they can work, but most people never actually sit down and figure out what they're really making, which means most people can't tell the difference between motion and progress until it's too late. I'm not going to bury you in spreadsheets today. I just want to show you the handful of real costs almost nobody thinks about, how to tell if what you're doing is actually progress or just motion, and what to do with that time if it is the second one, so you can grow your income without burning through your sanity or your family's time. Let's talk about the real math on something like driving for a delivery app. By the way, I'm not just theorizing here. I lived through this. Back in March of 2020, right when the world shut down, I ran my own social experiment. I did Instacart and DoorDash for 3 months straight, 0 days off. Part of that was wanting to understand what gig workers actually go through, but more importantly, a bigger part of that was wanting to demonstrate to my kids what to do when bad things happen. That we don't just sit around waiting for a handout. You get up and you do something. At first, the daily payout looked pretty good. Looked like good money, but here's what I learned along the way. That number on the app isn't your real number. Before you decide a side hustle is worth your time, you've got to subtract a few things. First is the wear and tear on your car or your equipment. Then you've got gas, supplies, whatever fees the platform takes. And a big one is self-employment tax. It's much bigger than most people expect. Not to mention the number one number that no one puts on a spreadsheet, the mental fog you're dragging around the next day at your real job or with your family. What's left after those is what I call the real rate, not the number that shows up in the app, the number that's actually yours. And I'm not going to hand you a made up figure because the real rate depends on your car, your market, your tax bracket. What matters is the habit. Before you call a side hustle profitable, sit down and calculate it. Most people never do. They just look at the payout screen and assume that that's what they've made, but it's not. And it's not just the money. During those 3 months, somebody rear-ended me while I was out on a delivery, and at first they even tried to pin it on me, but fortunately my insurance company looked at everything and could tell right away that it wasn't my fault. But that's the kind of risk you're carrying that never shows up on a payout screen. If something goes wrong out there, a lot of the time you are on your own. And I really mean you're on your own. There's no managers, there's no local office, there's not even a phone number to call. At one point I had to cover a customer's order out of my own pocket, trusting that their reimbursement process would actually work the way it was advertised, but it ended up taking 2 months to get that money back. And I only got it back because I kept pushing. Most people would have just eaten the losses. So that's a fifth thing to weigh. Another one that never fits neatly into a spreadsheet. How much support is actually behind you if something goes wrong? For a lot of these platforms, the answer is not much. Once you run your real rate, the money, and the risk both, you'll know pretty fast whether you've got a real business or just what is motion that feels like progress. Here's the other piece that nobody talks about. Even when your real rate does hold up, what else could those hours have done for you? Think of skills in two categories. There's load-bearing and decorative. A load-bearing skill is one your company would genuinely struggle without. Pull it out and something breaks. A decorative skill looks good on a resume, but nothing structural depends on it. Most side hustles only ever build decorative skills. If you spend 10 hours a week driving for an app, you do get better at it. I'll be the first to admit that. I got faster at planning a grocery list and moving through the store, finding shortcuts other people missed, but none of that is load-bearing anywhere outside of the app. Once you hit the ceiling on it, you're basically the same driver on day 100 that you were on day 30. Take those same 10 hours and put them into building a load-bearing skill inside your actual career. The certification your team can't function without. The one piece of software nobody else knows how to run. The kind of communication that gets you put in charge of the next major project. And now you're building something that keeps paying you year after year because the business can't route around you. That doesn't mean never do a side hustle. It means know which kind of skill you're actually building with those hours, and don't let decorative work quietly eat the time you could have spent making yourself load-bearing. So here's how you actually manage instead of just grinding blind. 1. Run your real rate. Take your payout, subtract your direct costs, gas, wear and tear, taxes, then subtract what I'd call your fog costs that hit to your focus and your energy the next day. What's left, divide by your hours, and that's your real rate. If you've never calculated it, do it this week. If the number holds up, keep going. If it doesn't, well, you've got your answer. 2, find your load-bearing skill. Look at your job or your industry. What's the one skill, tool, or certification that barely anyone has but the business can't function without? That's worth more of your evenings than almost any side gig because it's structural, not decorative. 3, know when to jump. Treat your career like the engine that's actually driving your income. If you build a real load-bearing skill and your company still won't pay for it, that's not a reason to pick up another side hustle. That's your sign to take your skill somewhere that will pay you what you're worth. Side hustles aren't the enemy. Confusing motion for progress, that's the actual lie. And that's what keeps people quietly stuck. Run your real rate and be honest about what's actually left over and put your best hours towards whichever one is truly load-bearing, the hustle or the skill. Once you stop grinding in circles, you get to start looking back at what worked for generations before us. In the next episode, the one money lesson Generation X got right that we somehow never learned, and how to actually put it to use. One more thing before I let you go. Everything I said today is about how you personally weigh a side hustle for your own finances. It's not a knock on the people out there that are doing this work every day. A lot of drivers and delivery folks are doing exactly what I did back in 2020. Showing up, doing the best they can with what they've got, often supporting a family on it with a lot less support behind them than they really deserve. So next time a driver or a delivery person takes care of you, thank them. Do something extra for them beyond the standard tip. It goes a lot further than people realize. Also, please drop your real rate in the comments once you've actually done the math. I want to see if the number surprises you. Hit subscribe and I'll see you next time.